Women often form deep emotional bonds with men who show consistent care, respect, and genuine love. Psychology tells us that attachment is strongest when someone consistently makes us feel safe, valued, and understood. When a man truly invests in a woman emotionally, he becomes more than a partner. He becomes a source of stability, admiration, and emotional intimacy. But when the relationship ends, the sudden absence of this supportive energy creates a void. Women, like men, feel the loss of consistency and emotional investment. But the difference is that women are wired to reflect more on emotional nuances and relational dynamics. They remember not just the gestures, but the emotional energy, the patience, the respect, and the unwavering support. This reflection often makes them realize the depth of the love they once had, and sometimes miss the man who was there for them in ways no one else was. Appreciation and value play a crucial role in human relationships. A man who loves sincerely often demonstrates his value not through grand gestures, but through reliability, understanding, and small acts that consistently communicate care. Women, consciously or unconsciously, recognize this value over time. However, when the relationship ends, the immediate absence of that value becomes strikingly apparent. Many women may have taken it for granted during the relationship, focusing on minor flaws or misunderstandings. But when the love, respect, and consistency disappear, it highlights what was lost. This absence triggers reflection. Why did I let someone so genuine go? It's not about manipulation or games. It's about natural human psychology recognizing and missing what was truly good and real in their lives. Loss creates clarity. When a woman is no longer in contact with a man who loved her fully, her mind starts replaying moments and assessing what mattered most. Humans are wired to value what is absent more than what is present, especially in relationships. The love, care, and effort that were once constants suddenly become rare treasures. Over time, absence cultivates nostalgia, reflection, and sometimes longing. It's not that women are inherently regretful, it's that the brain notices emotional depth and unwavering support more acutely once it's gone. This is why some women miss the man who loved them the most, not necessarily because they want to return, but because they finally understand what they truly lost and what emotional connection felt like at its highest level. At the heart of this isn't blame or games, it's human nature and psychology. Women, like men, appreciate consistency, emotional investment, and genuine love, even if they don't realize it in the moment. When it's gone, absence forces reflection. The key takeaway for men is simple: love fully, live with integrity, and value yourself in relationships. For women, the lesson is about self-awareness and clarity, recognizing genuine love while it exists, rather than only appreciating it in its absence. Understanding this dynamic empowers both genders to navigate relationships with respect, emotional intelligence, and growth, emotional attachment, and depth of love. How women form deep bonds with men who consistently show care, respect, and understanding, and why the absence of this creates reflection and longing, recognizing true value, understanding that genuine love is shown through consistency, effort, and emotional support, and how its loss makes women realize what they had. The psychology of absence and reflection, how loss and distance trigger introspection, nostalgia, and awareness of emotional connection that may have been overlooked during the relationship. Growth, self-worth, and life lessons, how both men and women can learn from the experience, men by loving with integrity, and women by cultivating awareness to appreciate genuine love in the moment. Women naturally form deep emotional bonds when they feel genuinely seen, valued, and understood. This connection goes beyond simple attraction. It's built on trust, consistency, and emotional safety. When a man loves fully, he becomes more than a partner. He becomes a steady presence, someone whose care and support create a sense of security and belonging. Women by nature are highly attuned to emotional nuances, so the way a man shows patience, empathy, and unwavering attention leaves a lasting impression. These moments, small gestures of kindness, listening without judgment, and showing genuine concern, accumulate over time, creating a foundation of emotional depth. However, when such a relationship ends, that steady source of emotional investment disappears, leaving a void that is immediately felt. It's not about missing the person superficially, but about missing the energy and emotional connection that made them feel truly valued. The mind begins to replay moments, noticing all the ways in which the love was rare, consistent, and deeply nourishing. Even if there were disagreements or challenges, the absence of someone who loved fully makes women reflect on the emotional richness they once had. Over time, this reflection can transform into longing, not out of weakness, but as a natural response to the sudden loss of emotional stability and genuine care. The realization is subtle but profound. They are missing not just the man, but the depth of love he gave, the respect he showed, and the emotional presence that became an integral part of their lives. It's this very depth, once gone, that highlights why women often notice the true value of the man who loved them the most, only after the relationship ends. True love is often recognized not through grand gestures, but through the consistency of small, meaningful actions over time. A man who loves genuinely demonstrates his value by being reliable, attentive, and emotionally present, even when it's inconvenient or unnoticed. He communicates care not just with words, but through patience, understanding, and the steady reassurance that he is invested in the relationship. Women, whether consciously or subconsciously, notice these patterns of genuine commitment. However, during the relationship, it's easy to take these qualities for granted, focusing instead on temporary frustrations, misunderstandings, or the small imperfections that appear in daily life. It's only when that presence, that unwavering support, is suddenly removed that its true significance becomes clear. The absence shines a light on the depth of what was once taken for granted, the man who consistently made her feel heard, respected, and loved in ways that no one else did. This is where the mind begins to recognize the value that was always there but underappreciated. Appreciation in hindsight is often more powerful than appreciation in the moment because the human brain is wired to notice the contrast between presence and absence. The love that was once constant now feels rare and precious, and this realization often triggers reflection and longing. It's not about guilt or blame, it's about understanding human nature and emotional awareness. When women look back, they see the depth of dedication, the patience, the daily efforts that were subtle but monumental, and they realize that losing someone who truly loved them consistently leaves a void that cannot easily be filled. The recognition of this value becomes an important lesson in understanding what genuine love really looks like and why it is so deeply missed once it is gone. Loss has a way of bringing clarity that presence often cannot. When a woman no longer has a man who loved her fully in her life, her mind begins to replay memories, weighing what truly mattered. Absence creates a contrast that highlights the emotional depth and consistency that were once taken for granted. Humans are wired to notice what is missing more than what is constantly present, and relationships are no exception. The daily care, the patience, the little gestures of love that once seemed ordinary suddenly stand out as extraordinary. In this space of reflection, a woman begins to realize the emotional investment she experienced, the respect, the understanding, and the unwavering support. Nostalgia is not simply longing for the past. It's the brain's way of processing value, weighing the rare qualities that made the connection meaningful. It is also a moment of emotional education. She learns to differentiate between superficial attraction and genuine emotional investment. Over time, this absence fosters self-reflection, helping her understand what love feels like when it is real and consistent. It is not about manipulation or regret alone. It is about recognition. Missing the man who loved her the most often stems from the realization that emotional depth and authenticity are hard to find, and that the void left behind cannot be easily replaced. This process of reflection can be both humbling and enlightening, teaching the value of appreciation, patience, and emotional intelligence. In the end, absence becomes a mirror, showing what was truly significant and helping her understand why a man who loved her fully holds a place in her heart long after the relationship has ended. At the heart of every relationship lies a simple truth. Genuine love is recognized not just in grand gestures, but in consistency, care, and emotional presence. Women may not always fully appreciate this depth in the moment, but when it is gone, the absence reveals its true value. Emotional attachment, recognition of genuine effort, and reflection on what was once constant all combine to create a lasting impression that is difficult to forget. The longing that follows is not about weakness or regret alone. It is a natural response to losing something rare, meaningful, and irreplaceable. For men, the lesson is clear. Love fully, act with integrity, and value yourself in every connection. For women, it is a call to awareness, to recognize and honor genuine love while it exists, rather than only realizing its worth in hindsight. Understanding this dynamic empowers both to navigate relationships with emotional intelligence, gratitude, and growth, creating bonds that are meaningful and enduring, whether in presence or in memory.